The 2025 Formula One season has just begun, but tensions are already running high in the paddock. This time the spotlight is on McLaren, who are once again embroiled in controversy after allegedly using an aerodynamic trick that was in the spotlight last season, namely mini DRS. More surprisingly, Ferrari is said to be using a similar strategy. Is this the beginning of an increasingly fierce technological war, or the start of a new debate in the F1 world? Let's discuss it. Suspicions began to surface during the preseason test in Bahrain. Eagle-eyed analysts noticed suspicious movements on the rear wings of the McLaren and Ferrari cars. Various recordings and telemetry data analyzed suggested that both teams may have designed aerodynamic parts that could adapt at high speeds, which could give the car a significant performance advantage on the straights. This immediately sounded the alarm for other teams, especially after several technical engineers from rival teams conducted a deeper analysis and found that there was a possibility that this design exceeded the limits of flexibility allowed by the FIA regulations. This suspicion was reinforced by a direct comparison between the car's performance in the corners and on the straights, where McLaren and Ferrari seem to have an unusual advantage. Well, it's not just McLaren that is under suspicion. Ferrari appears to have been involved in this practice, which immediately sparked discontent from their main rival, Red Bull. In fact, Red Bull team principal Christian Horner and Ferrari team principal Fred Vasseur, who rarely see eye to eye on various aspects of competition, are this time united in supporting the FIA in clarifying the rules regarding flexible wings. They believe that the loopholes in the rules can be exploited unfairly by several teams, ultimately upsetting the balance of competition. The situation is heating up after several internal parties within the FIA began giving signals that they are considering further investigations. Several engineers from other teams have also reportedly lodged informal protests with the FIA, asking the governing body to take a closer look at the wing designs used by McLaren and Ferrari. If these allegations are proven, it is not impossible that the two teams could face severe consequences, ranging from design revisions to possible sanctions if they are found to have violated existing regulations. Meanwhile, the debate continues among F1 fans and experts. Some argue that such innovations are legitimate technical ingenuity in motorsport, while others feel that the rules need to be more strictly enforced to prevent teams from gaining an unfair advantage. With the season just around the corner, all eyes are now on what the FIA will do to address the controversy. In recent days, reports have surfaced that two of F1's top teams, McLaren and Ferrari, have allegedly found an innovative way to optimize the flexibility of their rear wing structures. It is claimed that the special design of the wing allows part of the car's aerodynamic structure to rotate slightly backwards at high speeds. The resulting effect is similar to a drag reduction system, DRS, reducing drag and increasing speed on straights, but without actually activating the DRS mechanism, which is officially required by the FIA technical regulations. The allegations have caught the attention of engineers and competitors in the paddock, including Red Bull's technical director Pierre Watch, who has publicly stated that the practice continues today. "I think Ferrari and McLaren are still using this mini DRS trick," Watch said, suggesting that the teams may have found a loophole in the aerodynamic regulations that allows them to gain a significant advantage without actually breaking the written rules. One reason this is possible is that pre-season testing is not an event where the FIA conducts a thorough compliance check on every technical aspect of the car. In pre-season testing, teams have more freedom to experiment with design elements without the immediate risk of sanctions or protests from rival teams. This is often used to test the limits of the rules to find the best way to improve the car's performance in a real race situation. However, the situation will change when the official season starts, especially at the Australian Grand Prix, the opening round of the World Championship. Once the first race takes place, any innovation that is deemed to be outside the regulations can have serious consequences. If the FIA or competing teams find evidence of non-compliance, the teams involved could face official protests, be forced to make design changes to their cars, or even receive penalties that could potentially affect race results and points in the championship. As the season progresses, attention on the alleged use of mini DRS is expected to increase, especially if McLaren and Ferrari show suspicious performance spikes. The FIA is likely to monitor any changes in aerodynamic design more closely and conduct more in-depth checks to ensure that all competing cars really do comply with the rules. Since the McLaren incident last year, the FIA has taken several steps to address this issue. Various changes have been made to the regulations to ensure that the aerodynamic systems used by the teams remain within the limits set and do not give any advantage that could be considered unfair. One of the changes that has been made is the reduction of the width of the slot on the rear wing. Previously, this gap had a size range of 10 to 15 millimeters, but now the limit has been tightened to only 9.4 to 13 millimeters. This step was taken to prevent teams from using wing designs that can provide significant aerodynamic performance benefits. In addition, the maximum DRS opening will remain at 85 millimeters with no other changes. The aim of this decision is to ensure that the DRS system continues to operate within the specified limits, without giving teams excessive flexibility in the aerodynamic settings of their cars. New rules for DRS have also been implemented to further clarify how this system should work on the track. DRS must now have two completely fixed positions, fully closed and fully open. In other words, this system must not have any flexible gradual movements that can be used to create an aerodynamic advantage outside of the specified limits. Article March 10 of the Formula 1 technical regulation states that any aerodynamic part acting as a DRS must remain in a fixed position except in exceptional circumstances such as system failure or during transitions between modes. This clearly states that gaps cannot be progressively widened beyond the limits set by the regulations. Despite these measures and restrictions, it is possible that teams such as Ferrari and Mclaren will find loopholes in the existing rules. If this happens, the situation could become even more complicated, as it could spark a debate as to whether the system being used is still within the limits of the regulations, or whether it is in breach of the rules set by the FIA. With the first race of the season fast approaching, all eyes are on the FIA to see if they will take action against Mclaren and Ferrari. Speculation has been heating up after a number of teams suspected that the two teams had found loopholes in the technical regulations. If a team were to lodge an official protest in Melbourne, it is possible that a full investigation could lead to a revision of the rules, as happened last season. Mclaren has been in similar situations before and is likely to understand the risks and consequences. With its experience in dealing with regulatory uncertainty, the team may have prepared various scenarios to anticipate potential reprimands from the FIA. Meanwhile, Ferrari is no stranger to technical controversy. History shows that the Maranello team has often been at the forefront of exploiting regulatory loopholes to gain a competitive advantage. On the other hand, Red Bull, which seems to be not as strong as last season, could be the first to report this alleged violation. Max Verstappen himself finished the preseason test with a less dominant result, only in second place, 0.021 seconds behind George Russell, Mercedes. Although the time difference is relatively small, it is enough to spark speculation that Red Bull have not really found the optimum balance in their car. The Red Bull team itself has openly admitted that the RB21 has not performed as expected, which could be an additional reason for them to pressure the FIA into taking decisive action against Mclaren and Ferrari. If Mclaren and Ferrari consistently record the highest speeds at the Australian GP, there will definitely be protests from competitors. The FIA, which is becoming increasingly strict about flexible aerodynamic regulations, may intervene. It remains to be seen if the two teams will have to change their designs or if they will be able to convince the FIA. What is clear is that the atmosphere ahead of the Australian GP is heating up, with technical drama as the main highlight. Have Ferrari and Mclaren really found a clever loophole in the regulations, or are they just playing in the grey area of the rules? And if the FIA does step in, will this be the first major technical scandal of the 2025 season? Let us know your thoughts in the comments.